Hi, how's it going, everybody? My name's Connor, and I'm going to be talking to you guys today about the corpse plant. Basically, the motto of this plant is a plant that mimics rotting flesh to recruit pollinators. This is my natural history story, and the actual Latin name of the corpse plant is the Titan arum or the Amorphalis titanium. Um, and these plants get pretty big. They get to up to 10 to 15 feet tall. Some are up to 13 feet wide, but they only bloom every 2 to 10 years, and that bloom only lasts 24 to 36 hours. So when it does bloom, it releases this large spathe, which is like the flower, as you can see in figure one. And then in figure two, it's got the spadex, which is the kind of long flower feature sticking out of the middle of the plant. And the reason why this is called the corpse plant is because both of these features resemble the color of rotting meat, and combined they produce up to 30 different olfactory chemicals that make up the rotting flesh smell. And the spadex, which is the flower spike that sticks up in the middle, it actually gives off like a heat signature that mimics the rotting meat. So like if you actually look at it on a thermal camera, you can see it giving off a physical heat signature. So basically, everything that this plant does, it remembers the smell, color, and temperature to attract these pollinators to help ensure that the continuation of that species. So basically, the pollinators are the Calliphoridae, which are basically carrion flies, and Sylphidae Necrophorinae, which are carrion beetles. So both of these insects lay their eggs inside of basically rotting meat. So they lay their eggs, and then the larva will eat the meat of those animals as nutrients. So basically, the corpse plant takes advantage of that by tricking these insects to pollinate for it. So basically, the corpse flower can't self pollinate, so it relies on these insects to bring pollen from another corpse plant over. And so the way it does this is the female part opens up first, and while all those scents are being put out into the air to attract the beetles and flies, they all go down into the first figure. You can see them where the bottom of that pit is, and then on the bottom left, that's a figure where it actually shows the female part of the plant. And the female part is where most of the smell comes from, and then the male parts, which are depicted in the little yellow orbs producing the pollen, those will actually produce the pollen a little bit later. There's like a little bit of a lag period so that the pollen actually falls onto these insects, so that when they go and travel to a different plant, they're carrying it with them. So basically, the flies don't get anything out of this. They've just been deceived. And then once they successfully pollinate, you actually get these super bright seeds in the bottom right. So looking at conservation efforts to try to preserve this incredible natural history, plant and animal interaction, because they bloom so infrequently, most botanists like actually like save the pollen after one flower. So then they like freeze it and then trade it with a different botanist or different like botanical gardens in an effort to preserve these really amazing plants. But they're actually somewhat endangered because they're native to Indonesia, and a lot of their natural habitat in Samarta is actually been destroyed. So it's very difficult for this plant to pollinate. I mean, because it only blooms every 2 to 10 years. So that makes it really difficult. And then on top of that, it's only open for such a small window of time, that like 24 to 36 hours. It's very difficult for it to be able to pollinate, especially when it doesn't have the environment like Indonesia, where it's super hot and humid, where like it's capable of like reproducing. So yeah, that's basically it for my natural history story. Hope you guys were able to learn something. Yeah, thank you. Enjoy.